When night comes, the world around you begins to fall silent. The streets quiet down, the noise of work fades, and yet inside your own head, a storm often begins. The mind refuses to rest. Thoughts of what you did, what you should have done, and what might happen tomorrow rush in like waves. It is as if the body is ready for sleep, but the soul remains restless. This is not a new struggle. Even 2,000 years ago, the Stoics wrote about this inner battle of the mind when darkness arrived. They understood that the hardest part of the night is not the absence of light, but the presence of noise within us. The first step to calming yourself is not to run away from those thoughts, but to face them with honesty. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, would spend time each night reflecting on his day. He did not do this to punish himself or to carry guilt, but to look at himself as a friend might. He asked, "Did I act with justice? Did I live with courage? Did I lose my temper or speak words I should not have spoken?" This kind of reflection clears the mind because it replaces vague unease with clarity. Instead of lying in bed haunted by feelings of failure, you give shape to those feelings and then you release them. The past cannot be undone, but it can be understood. That understanding brings calm. What keeps most people awake is regret. They lie there replaying mistakes, imagining different outcomes, and whispering if only. But regret is like scratching an old wound. It never heals that way. The Stoics would tell you, reflection is medicine, regret is poison. Reflection asks what you can learn. Regret asks you to fight what is already gone. When you replace regret with honest reflection, the mind begins to loosen its grip on the past. You tell yourself, today is finished. I will do better tomorrow. Now I rest. The second weight that crushes peace at night is worry about tomorrow. You start thinking about bills, work, conversations, and things that might never even happen. This is where Epictetus's wisdom saves you. He divided the world into two parts, what is in your control and what is not. You cannot control tomorrow's weather, tomorrow's economy, or tomorrow's mood of another person. You can only control how you prepare and how you respond. So before you sleep, write down the tasks that are in your control. Then remind yourself that the rest belongs to fate. Once you draw this line, you find that much of your worry was only wasted energy. The burden of tomorrow does not belong in tonight's bed. There is another Stoic practice that makes your heart lighter. Before sleep, negative visualization. The Stoics often imagined losing the very things they held dear, their possessions, their loved ones, even their own lives. At first this sounds dark, but in truth it creates gratitude. When you imagine losing what you have, you awaken to its value. Suddenly the simple gift of lying in a warm bed feels extraordinary. The roof above you feels like a blessing. The body that still breathes feels like wealth. Gratitude is one of the strongest antidotes to anxiety. It shifts the mind from what is missing to what is already here. And when you are grateful, the heart relaxes and sleep comes more naturally. Seneca once wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. How true this is at night. Most of the monsters that steal your sleep are not real. They are only shadows created by imagination. Your mind turns small problems into giants because it has too much space in the dark. The way to calm these shadows is through the breath. Breathing deeply and slowly anchors you back into reality. As you inhale, you remind yourself, right now I am safe. As you exhale, you let go of the illusions that try to scare you. Each breath is a reminder that in this present moment, nothing is attacking you. The room is quiet. The body is alive. That is enough. And yet, even after reflection, detachment, visualization, and breathing, some nights the mind will resist. It will cling to noise. Here the Stoics remind us of something essential. Not every battle is won by force. Sometimes peace comes by surrendering to nature. Just as the sun sets and the earth rests, so too must you allow yourself to be carried into sleep. Sleep is not an enemy to be conquered, but a natural rhythm to be embraced. You do not demand it, you allow it. By releasing control, you align yourself with nature's order, and in that harmony, rest comes. The night is not a place to fight with yourself, but to return to yourself. It is a time to put down the weapons of thought and to walk, calmly and gently, into silence. This is what the Stoics teach us, that peace is not found in the absence of thought, but in the mastery of thought. When you practice these ancient ways, your nights stop being restless, and your mornings begin with strength. There is a strange truth about the human mind. It often becomes most restless when everything around it is still. During the day, distractions keep you occupied. Work, people, duties, noise. But when the world grows quiet, Your thoughts have no competition and they grow louder. This is why so many find it hard to rest at night. But the Stoics believed that the mind could be trained to face this stillness, not as a curse but as a chance for alignment with reason and nature. For them, the night was not a place of fear but of practice. One of the most powerful practices is writing. The Stoics treated journaling not as a hobby but as a discipline. Before sleep, they would write out their thoughts, the good and the bad, the victories and failures, the questions and confusions. The act of writing empties the mind. A thought that circles endlessly in your head feels heavy. But when it is put on paper, it loses its sharpness. The page becomes a container holding what you no longer need to carry into your bed. It is like putting down a load of stones at the end of the day. Seneca, who often reflected in writing, said that reviewing the day was like standing before a judge, but the judge was your own reason. By doing this, he freed his spirit from chaos before sleep. But writing alone is not enough. The Stoics went deeper. They contemplated mortality. To most people, this seems unsettling. Why would anyone think about death before bed? But for the Stoic, death was not an enemy. It was the greatest reminder of how precious life truly is. When you lie down and remember that this night could be your last, the noise of petty worries falls silent. The unpaid bill, the harsh words from a colleague, the uncertain future, all of these shrink when compared to the reality of mortality. Suddenly, the only thing that matters is how well you live today. Did you live with honor? Did you act with kindness? Did you stay true to your principles? If the answer is yes, then you can rest in peace whether you wake again or not. Sleep, after all, is only a small rehearsal for the final rest. And when you accept this, sleep loses its fear. The Stoics also spoke of simplicity as a path to peace. Much of our restlessness comes from desire. Desires for more comfort, more wealth, more recognition. Even in bed, people crave. They imagine better homes, softer pillows, larger successes. Yet the Stoics reminded us that true peace requires little. Epictetus, who once lived as a slave, said that the secret of freedom is not in having everything, but in needing almost nothing. When you lower your desires, the mind grows quiet. Your bed may not be grand, but it is enough. Your room may not be perfect, but it shelters you. To want less is to sleep more easily. This discipline of simplicity is especially important at night because the mind tends to magnify what it lacks. It tells you that you need more money, more success, more admiration to feel safe. But if you listen to the Stoics, you realize that the only real safety comes from virtue and inner strength. If you lived rightly today, you can rest tonight without fear. And if you failed, tomorrow gives you another chance to improve. That is all that is needed. But sometimes, even with reflection, gratitude, and simplicity, the heart still beats with unease. It is in these moments that the Stoics practiced surrender to nature. They understood that everything in the universe follows a rhythm. The sun rises and sets. The seasons change, the body grows and decays. Sleep is part of that natural rhythm. To resist it is foolish, like trying to hold back the tide. You are not separate from the universe. You are a part of it. And just as rivers flow and trees rest in winter, so too must you yield to the call of night. To fight against sleep is to fight against life itself. This surrender does not mean weakness. It means trust. The Stoics trusted nature, trusted fate, trusted that whatever tomorrow brings, they will meet it with reason and courage. This trust allows the mind to let go. You do not need to control everything before you sleep, because much of it is not yours to control anyway. You only need to rest so that when morning comes, you can face what belongs to you. This faith in the order of things, this alignment with nature creates a deep peace that no luxury can provide. In the end, the Stoics teach that night is not merely for sleep but for training. It is the time to practice honesty, gratitude, detachment, simplicity, and surrender. If you master these in the quiet hours, you will find that your days become calmer too. Because the truth is, the same mind that cannot rest at night will also be restless during the day. Peace is not a matter of time or place, it is a state of being. And if you can calm your mind in the silence of night, you will carry that calm into the noise of morning. There is a moment, each night, when the mind feels suspended between wakefulness and rest, a fragile space where peace can either arrive gently or be shattered by inner noise. Most people do not notice this threshold. They either collapse into sleep from exhaustion or lie awake fighting their thoughts. But the Stoics were attentive to these transitions. For them, each small act in life carried meaning, and even the act of falling asleep was a chance to live in accordance with reason and nature. To calm the mind before sleep was not just for rest. It was a rehearsal for living well. Marcus Aurelius often wrote that life is a series of moments. Each moment is complete in itself if you approach it with virtue. Sleep is one such moment. To treat it with indifference, or to enter it with agitation, is to waste a chance for harmony. He advised himself to go to bed remembering that he had done what he could for the day, that the rest belonged to fate. In doing so, he freed himself from the endless demands of what if and what next. To practice this is to stand at the edge of sleep as a soldier who has laid down his armor. For the night, not defeated, not fearful, but simply resting until duty calls again. What makes this possible is the Stoic art of separating appearance from reality. At night, when the body is still, the imagination often becomes active, throwing shadows across the mind. You begin to think of failures that never mattered, dangers that may never come, judgments from others that carry no real weight. These are appearances, phantoms of thought that the mind confuses for reality. The Stoics would say, examine them. Is this fear within your control? Is this judgment real, or is it just an image in your head? If it is not real, release it. If it is real but outside your control, accept it. This practice strips away illusions, leaving only what is solid and true. And truth has a calming effect, because it is far lighter than imagination. Seneca spoke often of how unnecessary fears keep us awake. He wrote that life is short, yet people waste their nights fearing events that may never happen. He urged his students to face life directly, without adding the burden of fantasies. To him, every night was a reminder that time is slipping away. Why spend it in chains of your own making? Better to let go of fear, better to rest, better to greet tomorrow with strength. To remember this is to feel a sense of urgency, not to worry more, but to worry less. Because only what you do at the present moment has true value. Another secret the Stoics practiced was aligning the body with the mind. A restless body often signals a restless spirit. They live simply, not overindulging in food or drink before bed, not drowning in luxury that made sleep shallow. Seneca wrote that excess weakens both the body and the mind, while moderation strengthens both. Even the way you prepare your body for sleep, choosing calm, simple habits instead of agitation, reflects Stoic wisdom. The mind and body are not enemies. They move together. If you calm one, the other follows. But perhaps the deepest Stoic practice before sleep was gratitude. Gratitude is not a casual thank you, but a deliberate recognition of what is already present. The Stoics did not wait for fortune to give them everything before they felt thankful. They found reasons for gratitude even in hardship. If you reflect before bed and remind yourself, I had food today, I had shelter, I had breath, I had a chance to act with virtue, then you end the day wealthier than kings who never learned to appreciate. Gratitude turns the smallest bed into a palace, the darkest room into a sanctuary. It is impossible for the mind to be restless and grateful at the same time. One feeling cancels the other, and gratitude always wins if you give it space. Finally, the Stoics approached night with humility. They knew that sleep, like life, is not promised. Each time they closed their eyes, they accepted that they might not open them again. This acceptance did not frighten them. It liberated them, for if you are at peace with death, you will certainly be at peace with sleep. You will close your eyes without clinging, without resistance, with the quiet dignity of one who has lived today as best as he could. To live one day well and to let it end without fear, that is all that is required of us. And so, the Stoic way of calming the mind before sleep is not about tricks or shortcuts. It is about living with such clarity, such honesty, and such simplicity during the day that when night comes, there is nothing left to fear. You look back with reflection, you look forward with acceptance, and you rest in the present with gratitude. In this way, your nights are no longer battles, they are retreats, sacred pauses that renew you for the struggles ahead. The Stoics remind us that peace is not given by the night. It is carried into the night by a disciplined soul. Every night carries with it a hidden choice. You can enter it burdened, restless, and chained to your thoughts, or you can enter it as the Stoics did, prepared, calm, and free. The difference lies not in the softness of your bed or the quietness of your room, but in the discipline of your mind. For the Stoics, nighttime was not a time to escape life, but to meet it with clarity. They understood that the way you sleep shapes the way you wake, and the way you wake shapes the life you live. To train yourself to rest with calmness is to train yourself to live with strength. Think of Marcus Aurelius, a man who carried the weight of an empire, facing war, betrayal, and endless responsibility. Yet he wrote at night, reminding himself of the brevity of life, of the importance of virtue, of the futility of anger and fear. If even a man who commanded armies needed these reminders, what excuse do we have? The truth is that the restless mind is not cured by external solutions, but by inner order. Without order, no luxury can bring peace. With order, even a simple wooden bed is enough. The Stoics also saw the night as a mirror of the soul. If your conscience is heavy, your sleep will be heavy. If your day was filled with vice, your dreams will be filled with shadows. But if you lived with integrity, sleep becomes light, like a return to innocence. Epictetus advised his students to live each day as if they would be judged by their own reason at night. This self-accounting was not meant to crush them with guilt, but to free them from deception. For the greatest thief of peace is not the cruelty of the world, but the lies we tell ourselves. The moment you stop lying to yourself, the mind softens and sleep follows naturally. Seneca believed that sleep is one of nature's greatest gifts, and like all gifts, it should not be abused. He warned against making nights long with indulgence and laziness, for such habits weaken the will. Sleep, in the Stoic way, is not an escape from duty but a preparation for it. You rest so you can rise, you rise so you can act, and you act so you can live with honor. To misuse sleep is to misuse life itself. Therefore, the discipline of night is the same as the discipline of day: moderation, honesty, and gratitude. But there is also a softer truth in Stoic thought. They did not see calmness as something harsh or rigid, but as something natural. Nature itself is calm. The rivers flow, the stars shine, the earth turns, all without haste, all without worry. To be Stoic is not to harden yourself against life, but to align yourself with its rhythm. So when you lie in bed, you are invited to join this rhythm. Let the thoughts that do not serve you flow away like water. Let the fears you cannot control fade like the night sky. Let the gratitude you feel shine like stars, small but steady. To live with calm is not to force silence, but to notice that silence was always there waiting for you. The Stoics also understood dreams as a reflection of the soul. While they did not believe dreams were mystical messages, they knew that a disturbed life often breeds disturbed dreams. If your mind is poisoned by anger, envy, or endless craving, those poisons appear in sleep. But if you cultivate reason, humility, and acceptance, your dreams will not torment you. Even if they come with images of fear, you will awaken unshaken, because you trained your soul during the day. In this way, the night reveals the truth of who you are. Sleep cannot be deceived. It shows you whether your mind is truly free, and perhaps this is why the Stoics approached every night with reverence. To them, it was never just sleep. It was a reminder of mortality, a practice of gratitude, a surrender to nature, a test of the soul. Every night was both an ending and a beginning. To lie down calmly was to live with dignity. To wake in the morning was to be given another chance at virtue. If you lived with this perspective, how could you not treat night as sacred? So when you find yourself restless before sleep, remember the Stoic path. Do not fight the noise of the mind, transform it. Reflect but do not regret. Accept but do not cling. Breathe, write, imagine loss. Embrace gratitude, simplify desires, and surrender to the natural rhythm of the universe. These are not empty rituals, but practices that train the soul. If you follow them, you will discover that calmness is not something you wait, for it is something you build. And as you close your eyes, you can echo the thought of Marcus Aurelius. When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive. But to rise with this strength, you must first learn to rest with peace. The Stoics show us that the night is not an enemy. It is a teacher. It teaches you to let go, to trust, to accept. And when you master this lesson, you will no longer fear the silence of the night, because that silence will no longer be empty. It will be full of calm, full of strength, full of the wisdom that only stillness can give.